Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. So this is third part of the Gen AI series and today we will be covering creation of a chatbot. So this chatbot may not be sensible because we are using the default pipeline function today as per the previous videos. So because the as we go in more detail in the LLM, the tougher it will become. That's the reason we want to stick with the basics first, and then we'll go into have a deeper dive into it. So let's see what we are creating today. So I'll just go to the my code which I've written before. I'll just run this code so that you will get a fair idea like what exactly we are building today. So I'm running it using Streamlit, which is a web app creation library in Python. So you see the chatbot is created and I'm just sending the message and it should give us the result. You see it's great giving the result like chat GPT. So sometimes it might not be that sensible result, but it's the form of chat GPT way. Okay, and when we use a very like a trained LLM model, that time it will give you a very good result in that case. So let's go and create this app from scratch. So I think seeing this, you will get a fair idea what exactly we are building, right? So I'll just go to the task. Okay. So we have to create a new file in Python. So I'll just create a new test part 2 dot part 3 dot py as a Python file. Okay. So you see this has got created and I've listed the tasks that we will be creating in this. If you see this code, it's a bigger code and it might look a bit um, on a tougher side by the look and feel of it, but it's a very simple code and we'll create it step by step. So the first thing is importing Streamlit. So Streamlit is a library that you use to create web pages or web apps in Python. So you can use Django as well as Flask, but I find Streamlit pretty easy for the smaller apps and hence I'm using it. And then we'll be using transformers, which is from Hugging Face. So you can use OpenAI as well. We'll go to that later because we are just creating very basic chatbot. So let's use the free versions and the smaller versions. So I'm just using transformers to get the pipeline function. I'll get the pipeline function. Okay. So this is pipeline. I'll define the one method or function rather, main. Okay. So what this will do is let's write the title for this. For this web app. So we are creating chatbot. Codes doesn't matter in Python. Sometimes you have to use single quotes or double quotes. It doesn't matter. Okay. So and now let's say I'm using this name function equal to main. Then I'll call main function. So this is just to signify that we are calling this using the same script and it's not getting called from some other utility. Okay. So I'll just save this. I'll just control C to stop the running app. Close this chatbot. Okay. And now I'll just use Streamlit run test part 3.py. Let's see if it runs. You see it's running here and see we are able to display the chatbot. Let's control C, stop the terminal and close this. Now the next part is we should be able to insert any input, right? So we should have st dot, let's give user input equal to st dot text input. Okay, and we don't want any text into it, so we'll just put it as is. Okay, or let's say enter the text, something like that we can put. Okay, save. And what we want is we want the send button, right? Whenever we click on the send button, we should get the response from this particular model, right? So we are completed with importing libraries. We define the main function, and now we want to get the response from LLM, right? So let's define a button. So if st dot button, we just want response whenever this button is clicked, right? And that's the reason I've written if statement. So if st button, let's give some name to the button, so, and send. If there is any click event happening on this, only then we'll go and get a response. Okay, so for this we have to do one more thing. We have to initialize the pipeline function. Okay, so what we have to do is initialize this is generator will be object of the pipeline function from the transformer library. Okay, so we'll just give, and this we'll just give the basic task of text generation to it. Okay, so I'll just check if it's, yeah, text generation, right? This text generation. So these tasks are defined in Hugging Face. You can go and check the pipeline function. There are various tasks defined for this. You can pass any task for a different application. So currently we only need to generate text, and that's the reason I'm passing this task. Okay. So we'll have a deeper dive in the part 4 of this Gen AI series. Okay. So let's go back to the work. Okay. Now I've initialized the object for the pipeline, and this object will have properties of text generation. Okay, so if I click on the button send, I should have a user input, and based on the user input, it should, the LLM or the model which we'll be using, like this pipe which we are using the pipeline function, should generate some response to us. Okay, so I'll just, I want if user input, right, because we want some value into this, we can always give, but it will only generate text based on this particular text. We don't want that. We just want user to enter something and then only click on the send button, right? So that's the reason if user input, and then we will generate a user response. Let's give the variable name as response. Okay, and pass some values to this object. Okay, what we want is whatever user enters into the box, text box, we want that to be passed to the model. Okay, and we want to generate a output out of it, right? I will just print the response. Okay, let's save. I'm saved it. So what we did is we imported the libraries, we defined the main class, we initialized the pipeline function and got the object generator from the pipeline function. So this is the object of the LLM. When I say large language model, okay, we can use the properties of LLM using this object. Then we gave the title as chatbot, then use defined it variable, or rather text box, using this streamlit function, and then defined a button, and we are now getting the response by passing some input to the object. Okay, so it's just like passing some parameter to the variable or function, okay, from the object. and now we are getting the response. So let's save this. Let's see what it happens. Let's run this code. You can see we have written everything here. So now we'll just run it using Streamlit. The format is Streamlit run test part 3, which is file name, and we'll just run the code. So you can see it's triggering and it's running here. You see the text box was created with the text, and you can see the button here. Now we'll just write, can you write something for me? And we'll just send it to the model. So it went to the object, and from object it went to the model, and then it gave us some response. You can see the response is in this format. So it may generate multiple response because it depends on the model. Model might give like many responses. So if you see 0, first element is 0, and you see the response for the generated text key. So now this doesn't look so good. So what we'll do is we'll stop this, close this, and we'll try to get something more proper formatted. Okay, so just get this response 0. Okay, and we just want the first element, right? And showed it was at the 0th index, and we just wanted the key. So the key name was generated text. Okay, now let's try to run it again. So I've saved it. Let's run it. So we are just trying to get the some proper format for the response. Okay, so just what is the name? I'm just writing any random questions. Let's see what happens. See, we got the first element. Okay, so this is repeating, right? It may happen because it depends on the model, and we are not worried about the model currently because we are using the plain functionality of pipeline function to generate the text, right? Now since this is directly generating, we want to save the history as well, because if you see, if I write another question, what is the name of the city, it will override this. Because it's running the complete app. Okay, and see, it overrided this text and there is no history of this. So that's the reason now we have to use Python more in this particular functionality. Okay, so there is a variable and functionality called session state in Streamlit. Okay, this. So what we will do is we'll define a value or key. So first in Streamlit for this session state. Okay, so if chat history in session state. Okay, sorry, not in session state, we will define this new value. So it's as good as defining a variable. Okay, I'm just defining the variable called chat history that will always be initialized whenever there is a new session created for this app. Okay, so let's say when I say a session, let's say multiple users log in, and each one will have a different chat history value. Okay, because if you see, chat GPT has multiple sessions, right? So every time a new uh, window opens, and there you can see a new particular state of the object is initialized. So I'll just give some array. Okay, so I've defined it. Okay, and then I'll just store all the values that we'll be using. I don't want this. I want to append because I want to secure the history, right? And that's the reason I'll just get the first user input. Okay, and also will get the response. Okay. I will store it as a single element in the array having multiple values. Okay, so it's a multi-dimensional array. Okay, so and then I want to initialize this as null. Okay, let's see what it's printing right now. If we print it like this, so I'll just copy this. So what I did is I just defined a session state for this Streamlit amp, okay, which stores all the variables which are defined in a session state. So I just defined one variable which is chat history for this session, okay, and defined it as a as an array which is empty, right? And then what I'm doing is I'm keeping the track of all the user inputs and user responses in this array. Okay, so I'm just appending this both value as a single pair into this array. Okay, and then I'm for now I'm just printing this. Okay, let's do this, close this, and rerun the app. And I forgot to save it. I'll save it, and I'm rerunning it. So it's running again. So let's see what is the name. I'm not sure what it will print. Let's see. It printed none. Okay, so maybe this does not generate a proper value. Okay, so what we'll do is now whenever you what we want is whenever you click on this, it should print the exact text, right? This value is not printing correctly, right? So what we'll do is whenever this send is clicked, okay, we'll try to rerun this app and display all the values in this array. Okay, so to do this, what we are going to do is like we are going to rerun this app. Okay, so st dot experimental. Okay, so what this statement does is, so once you press this button, right, it appends the array and then it rerun the app from the start. Okay, so what will happen is it will once we give the input, it will generate the output, append the array, and then it will go back to the main. Okay, and it will reinitialize this. Okay, but it will not again go into this because it is not pressed again. Okay, so what we want is we will try to fetch the values already in the session from this variable. Okay, so let's do this for I comma, I just want this up. Okay, and then comma, I'm just trying to get some values. Okay, so I'm just defining some variable here, user bot. Okay, n, and I'm using enumerate function. Okay, and I'll try to get the values from this list. Okay, so mm, this function retrieves the value from this particular list one by one, and since we have two elements, right, which is like appended together, so they will be appended on this particular set. Okay, and what we want to do is now we want to write or fetch that values. Okay, so I'll just give user and also give this as bot. So to append this, I'll just use u. So I just wanted to append this u to this user, which is the values in the set. Okay. So because you should be able to know that which message is from the user and which one is from the particular bot, okay, or the LLM. So I'm just appending it in this fashion. So we have to add a curly braces here. Okay. The reason is this is a set value, and to access any set value, it has to be enclosed in the curly braces. Okay. And I'll do the similar thing for the bot. I'll give bot. Okay. And then I'll just format this. So this puts it in a proper markdown format. Okay. And now I want to also make sure that this u value is in bold. So to make it bold, you have to just give star 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 star. So this will make this in, as a bold value. The format may look a bit intimidating, but still it's a simpler way if you know the basics. Okay. Now I think we have also given st experimental rerun here. So I think I missed the quotes. Now I'll just save this and I'll just stop the existing app. Okay, and I'll just rerun the app. Let's see how it behaves. So it's running. I hope it completes. So just give something random text. So it's still running. You see, got the expected output. Okay, we'll give something more. See, it's giving in the same ChatGPT format. Okay, and giving the result. Okay, so what I did was just I defined a session state and a variable called chat history in the session state, which is and defined it as an empty array. Okay, I appended the user input and response to it, and using enumerate function I tried to fetch during each run. Okay, so after the initial run I'm doing a rerun. Okay, what the rerun fetches the values from the chat history and displays it as an history. Okay, which gives me the feeling that your existing, like, it's retaining the history of the particular output. Okay, so this is the chat bot we have built, and if you have any questions just comment me in the comment box, and thanks for watching.